Alright, welcome back. Or welcome, whichever case may be. If you are just joining us, you might want to go back and watch the first videos. This will be episode 5. So there's 4 more before this. So tonight, we're going to a little different. We're going to look specifically for some Quantanium, just to show you what that's like to mine. Now, normally in a rented prospector, that would be unlikely. However, since we've actually got the Hofstede and the Ryger C3 on here, we can actually do it in the rented prospector. Again, you have to do it manually, but you can make the upgrade. And you just got to remember to take it off when you're done. So I've already bypassed getting to selling, so we're dropping it on the planet now, and then we'll start looking for some Quantanium. Hopefully this shouldn't take too long. But we're using the same process we usually do. Go to an OM, drop down onto the planet, get up to full speed in nav mode, and then hit C to go uncoupled. And then once we get within, well, once the pitch bars come up, or the altimeter comes up, then we'll go ahead and switch back into SCM. Now, whether you mine in SCM or nav mode is up to you. I prefer to do it in SCM. Some people prefer to do it in nav because you can go faster. But I like having my shields. So whether it be while I'm cracking a rock or pirates or any number of other things, I just prefer to have my shields. And I've got a few bars left to play with, so if I need to, I can actually put a couple more bars in, especially if I see somebody coming. You know, may not be enough to do a whole lot, but makes me feel better. So, all right. So once we get down low enough, we'll start pinging. Again, that should be tab on your keyboard, unless you've changed it or set it to something else. And then basically, we're just looking for pretty much rock outcroppings, just like we were before. We'll go check each one of them. I mean, obviously, if I find something good besides Quantanium, I'll probably still pick it up and go back and then try again. But hopefully, we shouldn't have to check too many. Selling does seem to have quite a bit. Usually, you don't have to do more than most cases. I'd say I check like maybe 3 to 5 patches on a good day before I find some. Sometimes more, sometimes less. I've had some cases where I dropped right down and immediately found one, another one where I spent 15, 20 minutes looking. All right, looks like this one's just a single rock. And you want to check those too because Quantanium has been known to come up in rocks that are single. Not this time, unfortunately, but they have. All right, let's see if we can find some multiple rocks here, maybe. Or closer. There we go. And if you do want to go faster, you can always use your boost. Now that one on the left just popped up. Realistically, since that popped up within 5K, that's probably just gems. Doesn't really do us much good in a prospector, but if you were rock mining with a cutlass or something and a rock, then that would work out for you. All right, let's see what we got here. It looks like we got about 6 rocks. Let's see, we got barrel and titanium. Barrel and yep, same. Barrel and a base metal, basically. Titanium and inert. Barrel. Yeah, Terranite, but it's not very big, so we're not going to mess with it. Again, we're on the hunt for something else. And even that's not very much, so you figure at 2K, it's probably not worth messing with. Actually, this is see, that one I'd have to break. The other one I wouldn't have, but we're going to go ahead and keep going. When I'm hunting for Quantanium, that's one of the few times you'll see me pass up on decent little extractable rocks. Alright, so that's either a single rock. Yeah, it looks like, well, nope, that looks like gems. Alright. Yeah, that's gems. Oh well. It is what it is. This is the unglorious part of mining unless you like flying around, which can be fun in itself, but right now we want to make money. You can't make money if you're just continuously flying around. All right, so let's see. Looks like we got another 6 rocks here. Let's see what we got. Nothing there. It's extractable. That's barrel. Don't want that. And borace. And aluminum. Yeah, we don't need those. And barrel. Okay, we'll keep looking. So this kind of goes against our whole find something to start mining. However, I'm trying to specifically show you Quantanium, so which is the only reason we're doing this. If I was just starting out and didn't have money, then I probably wouldn't do this. I would probably just go ahead and grab something appropriate and then move on. Um, but in this case, we really haven't found much worthwhile before this anyway. So I mean, a good thing to keep in mind. Typically, you find rocks pretty quick with something in it that you want. But it does occasionally happen where you might check a few deposits before you actually find something you want to keep. And it looks like another single rock. Like I said, I always check them because I have seen Quantanium pop up at a single rock. So, no such luck. All right, let's see. Yeah. That one's closer. Let's go there. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see, we got some Terranite, probably an extractable rock. That's actually 40 something percent. I don't have to break it. So let's go ahead and grab it. Free money. Not much, but just remember when you're doing that. Vexillite. More Terranite. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Thought I was going to have to settle for some tier 1s. And a second one. All right. Well, I guess we know what we're breaking. All right. Remember, you got to get down in optimal range. You might have to even get a little closer to break a rock for Quantanium. This isn't that big, so I wouldn't expect it to take too much, but it doesn't look like it's going to move at all at that, so we'll take it up. That should be. Let's try this one over here for a minute. See what happens. That one didn't seem to want to move at all, and at 9K it should. Wonder if the server is glitching a little bit. Kind of looks like it might be. Server seems to be glitching a little bit because it should have been moving when I was at 100%. At least a little bit. We'll try resetting the laser. Shoot it a little bit. Maybe trigger it. That's just a old trick. Sometimes the rocks wouldn't spawn incorrectly. Oh, there we go. Got a little turtle action there. Let's go ahead and see if we can get it to come up. There we go. So all is not lost if it doesn't start moving right away. Our next case was, if it still wouldn't move, was to put a saber on it. But I prefer not to if I can help it. So, and again, just remember that you're going to have to be gentle with Quantanium because it can actually, if it blows, it'll probably destroy your ship. I don't really care about a Renault Prospector, but since I have the Hofstede on here and the $60,000 Riger C3, I don't really want to blow my ship up. All right, let's see what we got here. Just got to get it to come up. And again, you can you can vary the power of your laser a little bit, even at 100%, just by moving closer or farther away. So if we can't get any kind of meaningful movement, if it stalls out or something, we'll move a little closer until we get it moving again. Just remember to back off before it breaks. All right, so we're getting there. It's taking a little while. And again, it probably would have been faster with the saber. And if you're in a hurry, you can do that. Since I'm basically just going to mine this and head straight back to the station, I'm not too worried about it. And the fact that Quantanium is worth quite a bit. So the equivalent amount of Quantanium that you get compared to barrel or Vexillite or Terranite or gold is about double the amount at least. So you figure at 20 to 25K per SCU. So, and this rock is what, about 25? Yeah, a max of 25 SCU. So between this and the other rock over there, we should be sitting pretty good. We may not fill up completely on Quantanium, but we'll be up there. All right. And you see we got a little hot there, so we backed off, let it cool off a little. And now we'll try to get it back up in there. Quantanium is extremely unstable, so it's going to fluctuate. It might take you a while to break each Quantanium rock, but it'll definitely be worth it. You figure typical load of Quantanium is anywhere between about 2 and 300K per load, per Prospector load, which is not bad considering you get about 100 out of Bexelite or Terranite, or gold for that matter. Sometimes moving around can help get it moving again if it stalls too. Just keep that in mind. In retrospect, we probably should have just went ahead and put a gadget on it and called it a day. Even if it destroyed the gadget, it would have been worth it. There we go. Like I said, just remember with Quantanium, you got to be a little gentler. You don't want to let it get up about halfway on the green. There we go. All right, so that one's broke. And theoretically, we shouldn't have any pieces we have to break again. Not at 9K anyway. Although there might be one or two. But looks like most of them are extractable. Notice they're not popping up with a charge window. So now that we've got that one broken, we can decide if we want to crack the other one. And I would say in a case like this, where you have two Quantanium rocks, you probably do want to crack them both. But trying to look and see what I can find here. And if I remember correctly, I think that other Quantanium rock was a gimme. I don't think it needed cracking, so. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so that's a gimme. We don't have to worry about cracking it. So we'll go ahead and grab it. It's only 22%, but it's a pretty decent sized chunk. So 22% of 2,000 something is still better than 20 or 30% of something a lot smaller. And realistically, we'll probably be able to fit just about all of this in there. Probably would have fit all of it if we hadn't picked up that Terranite, but it is what it is. That's what I get for picking up before I checked all the rocks. All right, there we go. We're full. We worked out to like what, about 10 or so, I think. It was quick. I'll check it when we get back there. We'll see. The other thing to keep in mind too, when you're selling to the ore sales, you get basically all of it. When you refine it, you're going to lose some in the refining process. So just keep that in mind. In the case of Quantanium, even with the loss, it's pretty much always worth refining. Even if I'm just running around doing ore sales all the time, if I know there's not going to be a wipe or anything soon, I'll go ahead and refine Quantanium regardless, just because it's a big boost to the income. Hmm. Wow. Helps if you try to go to the right place. And apparently we're not in sight of it anyway. So we'll have to move around a little bit. So we'll find an OM over here by the moon and jump to it, and then we'll try to map again. There we go. All right, now we can jump. And of course, through the magic of video editing, we won't actually do the whole jump. We'll just appear there. Nobody wants to sit here just flying through space for a while. All right, same as usual, even though you got Quantanium, just max speed till you get to the station. Obviously, don't run into anything because you will explode with Quantanium. It really doesn't matter what you're mining or what you're bringing back. The key is always going to be minimizing your exposure time. So get in, get out as fast as possible. Sometimes more than others, but in the case of like Quantanium, you want to go ahead and get into the hangar and get it stored. Don't mess with repairing, refueling. Don't mess with anything else. Just straight power the engines off with I, jump out, go store the ship. That way, if something happens, because Quantanium has a timer once you pick it up. Once you pick up the first chunk and you have some in your bags, it starts a timer. If that timer gets to 0, sometimes just above 0 even, up within about 1, then you're looking at a ship exploding and you will lose it all. So once the ship blows from Quantanium, there is nothing left to salvage. All right, so we'll power the ship down. And we're getting a little lag here. All right. Crap. Did that power off? Let's check. We still got time. We weren't flashing or anything yet, so we'll go ahead and make sure we powered it off. We powered the ship off because in times past, if you didn't power a ship off in the hangar, like it's the engines, you could come back in and call your ship, and it could be floating in the air where you can't get to it. So it's just kind of habit now. Always turn your engines off when you're on a station or a planet when you're landed. If you're in space, leave them on, otherwise your ship will drift away. Doesn't make sense, because I mean, if you're sitting still and you turn your engines off, your ship shouldn't move, but it does. And again, when you're storing your ship, make sure you actually stay there, wait for it to actually store, and for the hangar doors to close fully. If you don't, there's always a possibility it'll glitch and it'll come back up and your ship won't be stored. And then if you take too long, it'll blow. At least with Quantanium on it. However, once the doors are closed, you're good to go. Like that. So we'll jump in the elevator, head to the refinery. And I think after this, we'll go through and maybe set some goals for what we want to accomplish here. And presto, we're at the refinery. The magic of video. Again, just like before, we'll go in here and we'll set up our refinery order. Hit begin, pick your ship, hit set up work order, select Linux solventation, pick the ores you want to actually refine, which is all of them. Get your quote. That'll give you, if you'll notice, with Quantanium, you're going to actually pay a little more total cost to refine too. So just keep that in mind. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and enter it here. So we've got Terranite, Bexlite, or Terranite, Quantanium, and Titanium. Go ahead and enter in what we got here. I'm obviously doing us on split screen. I have two monitors, so I've actually got the game up on the other one so I can read them. I should mention Regolith does have the OCR capability now, so if you want that, you'll probably need to set it up. This still works for me, so I'm not worried about it. We'll go ahead and pick crew L1 for the refinery. Just put our time in. Pick Orison for the TDD. Put our refinery fee in. And you'll see that just that little bit, not even half a load of Quantanium is 237 after the fee. So I mean we're sitting pretty good. And that was roughly about a half an hour or so trip, if that. I think it worked out to about a half an hour total with all the travel time. So that takes care of our refinery order. Now let's take a look at some other stuff here. We'll bring up a spreadsheet here that I've been using to track stuff. So we have our original 3 orders in, and I just put our second 3 that we've done. I also put in our expenses. We had another rental, the Hofstede, and the Riker C3. So right now we're still looking at about 300,000, and that's not counting the 120 grand or so that I still have cash on hand. So we're already up to a value of about 400,000. Now, what do we want to do? And I put that 1.7 million in there because that's what the Vulture used to be. However, we need to double check that, make sure it hasn't gone up. We figure we'd do about 100,000 a load with the setup we have right now. So that's 17 loads to get a Vulture. And you figure we can do 1 every half hour if we're looking for just tier 1s and decent sized rocks. And of course, it's time and it's a fraction, so we got to times it instead of divide it. So that equals out to about 8.5 hours. Now that's not counting other expenses or anything else. So let's go ahead and look at the rentals and so forth. And you can't see this here, but trust me, this is the value. So it's now 2.646 million for a Vulture. We'll go for a Prospector. So the Prospector, we're looking at about 73,000. And we're actually looking at the value. So 2.929 million is what it is now. It used to be about 2.1 million, so it's gone up about 800,000, and the Prospector's gone up about, call it 900,000, because it was 1.7 before. So we're looking at 29, almost 29 and a half loads at half. So we're looking at about 14, almost 15 loads to make enough money that without any expenses or anything. We'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Now keep in mind, if you rent the Prospector, you're obviously going to have a fee. And if you have to replace the Hofstede or the Riker, anything like that, then you're going to have a fee there as well. So just take all of that into account. So we got how much we can make per hour, See the trips we need at 100K, or however you want to look at it. Actually, that mining per hour should be 200,000. So we're actually looking at a little less. I'll have to go back and fix that. So that's going to change the numbers a good bit. So that should have actually been mining per trip, not mining per hour. So the 100,000 is correct, but it should be mining per trip. All right. Yep, and that's messing up our net total. So let's go ahead and move this. I forgot I did the columns. So, all right, there we go. All right. So you figure we're sitting between, call it 90, 110K per load. And obviously, if we hit Quantanium, we're doubling that or more. So, um, so you just kind of have to set what you want. What I would recommend is I would actually recommend doing the Vulture first, because once you've got the Vulture, you can do salvage missions and panels. If you do panels, the only overhead is your fuel and any damage you take. Um, and you can sell it immediately. You don't have to refine it or anything else. So if you're strictly after money and you don't care whether you mine or salvage, then I would go for the Vulture first. If you just absolutely despise salvage and you think it's boring as hell, like some people do, then I would probably save and get the Vulture. But just keep in mind, you're going to have enough money to do the Prospector. You've already got the Hofstede. You've already got um, the Riger C3. Now, with that being said, we'll take another look here at the Cutlass as well. And so the Cutlass, going from Crew L1, you're looking at 52,000 to rent it. You'll need that for the refinery, to actually receive your refined orders and to transport them to a TDD. I mentioned the Freelancer earlier, which you can rent some places. And that's obviously, as you can see, quite a bit more. You're looking at about 90 grand. So, and it doesn't do that much more. It does like 64 or something like that. It's not the max. I think it's 64. I don't remember offhand. So, with that being said, I would probably just stick with the Cutlass Black because it's big enough to do single loads. You'll just have to make extra loads. So, get all your refineries orders in to buy either the Vulture or the Prospector, and then rent the um, Cutlass Black. And what you can do is you can rent the Cutlass Black. It's going to give you the containers as big as it can, and then you can actually take and store them in your freight elevator, and just keep doing that until you've emptied out the refinery, and then you can make the trips as you go, and you can actually run full loads rather than just one Prospector load at a time. So that's how I would do it. I mean, you could even actually go a little higher and do. You could rent the Taurus, which would give you even more cargo capacity. The other thing to keep in mind too is, depending on how you're doing the mining, you could theoretically, if you know you're going to have like a long weekend or something where you can mine, you can actually rent the Prospector for 3 days instead, and that'll save you a little bit because it's like what 21. It's like 219,000 or something like that to rent it, for 3 days normally, but you can get it for 192 per 3 day loan or rental. So that's one way to cut costs. So I mean, if you know you're going to have a long weekend where you can get all them trips in, then you could literally knock out a Prospector or a Vulture in one weekend. So it just depends on, I guess, how much time you have and how bad you want it. All right. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave a comment. Other than that, I guess you just have to kind of decide which route you want to go, and you can follow along with us. Other than that, have a nice day.